I know we already used the joke, we're like between us and the booze, but we really are in between us and the booze, I think. I think Dade and I's is next, so they can use the joke as well. I'm Matt Ferriss, I'm with Radius. Oh, can you click? Prior to that, I have no picture. Oh, there I am. Prior to that, I was at Bizzo, then we got acquired by LinkedIn, and then about a year ago, I came over to Radius into sales, and then there was an opportunity for me to join and run the sales dev team, so I jumped on that.
Hi everyone, I'm Katherine Grunert. I run field marketing at Radius. And to give you a little background on myself, I started my career at a company called Jaspersoft, where I ran marketing programs and field marketing. And after we got acquired, I moved on to OpenDNS, where I got to work with the lovely David Delaney, founder of Tenbound. And he ran the SDR team. He and I had a very similar relationship to Matt and I now at Radius. So, as we all know, revenue success is hard. How many of you have aggressive pipeline or sales goals every quarter? Yeah. Yes. How many of you have more than 30% growth goals quarter over quarter? Yes. So, revenue success is hard, and 79% of CROs don't know where their revenue will come from, and 66% of CMOs aren't hitting their targets. So everyone in this room understands how difficult it is to hit your quarterly targets. So at Radius, we have a complete ABM approach, and as you can see here, 87% of companies say ABM delivers higher ROI than other types of marketing. So what we do at Radius and how Matt and I work together is we run a complete ABM strategy and we fuel those campaigns with accurate data. So today we're going to talk about how you can achieve your goals efficiently through ABM programs. And there's 3 steps. So the first step is account selection, where marketing and sales partner together to determine who the best accounts are to go after. And step 2 is taking those accounts and adding the contacts and the right data for the sales team to go after and for the marketing team to run campaigns, which brings us to step 3, which is campaign delivery. So taking those target accounts, those contacts, and running campaigns only to your targeted accounts. So giving a little bit more background on account selection, which is step 1. So before you determine who your target accounts are, it's important to have an agreement, which Matt and I have, which is what is your ICP? What is your ideal customer profile? And you don't want to go after, because we don't want to go after accounts that don't match our current best customers. So Matt and I work together to determine what our ICP is, and then we go after, determine who our target accounts are. And we do have a list. It results in a list that looks like this. So we have A through D accounts, and sales and marketing have alignment on this. So in Salesforce, we have account A, B, C, or D noted in the lead or contact, and also on the account. So we only run campaigns to these target accounts, and the sales team only calls contacts and leads part of these target accounts. So this is what I like to call data or account blind spots. So typically in your CRM or your Marketo instance, you would see this kind of data within your account. So say these are 3 account examples. You'll typically see industry, location, employees, and upsell success rate. So based on this slide, most people would go after account number 2. So we use Radius internally. We drink our own champagne, as Matt likes to say. And so we use Radius internally to add color to our accounts. So typically, people see their accounts in black and white, and Radius adds color, meaning we get these additional signals for our accounts. So for instance, for the Oracle conference, I was able to get the Oracle Eloqua users using Radius, and the sales team was able to go after these accounts as their target list. So for step 1, there are 3 phases for your to-do list. The first phase, so there's 3 phases, and there's kind of an art and a science to these 3 phases. The first phase is really the science phase, where marketing uses existing data and potentially predictive vendors to establish the ICP and create the short list of accounts. Then phase 2 is more of the art, where the BDR team, the sales team work together to take marketing shortlist and either add or subtract accounts based on their relationships that they have within them. And phase 3 is getting executive sign-off. So this approach does not work if it's not a top-down approach and agreement. So that is another important part of this step. And I will turn it over to Matt for step 2.
Cool. So Katherine talked about how we take that ABM approach. But before we really could do that, if we're really going to pick those 1,000 accounts that we're going to go after, I had to make sure that our ops team and our data team was on board, because we need all the right signals to prioritize them. So Katherine said we drank our own champagne. But to first address, we all know data is a challenge, but we all know we can't tell our CEO stop. We need to stop sales, we need to stop marketing, because we need to cleanse our data. We need to get rid of the dupes. So I thought about it as that as a sales development manager, I need to both have the data knowledge, but also the sales knowledge. So I actually went to Salesforce's certification. I got admin certified because I know that since the last 2 years, there's more data out there than there's ever been. And that 12% of CMOs reported competency accuracy in their marketing database, and 84 said data accuracy was one of their top 5 weaknesses, but they actually cannot stop the business from going. So we all know about data decay. It's significant after 3 months. So I use Radius, and I use a couple other data sources to plug into Salesforce to always keep that data refresh. We don't do list subloads anymore. We look at data as a platform. It has to be part of that marketing and tech and sales stack, and it has to be real time. So when we started this process that we were going to do ABM approach, is that I would not sign off and be on board if we didn't have the right data from my team. And for us, we have to look at a specific marketing automation. They have to have the 2 exact CRMs that we connect with. And if they didn't have them, they were just not on the list. We just didn't have time to go prospect into them. So when we started this process, we looked at how can we dedupe them? How can we actually go through this process of cleaning it up? And we use Marketo deduping efforts to do that. And then we are enriching CRM and map fields with Radius. So we're using our own platform to say, okay, I know the CRM, and that's pulling from different data sources. And then adding new contacts. We're also using Radius to do that. And then we're also using a company called Lean Data with the routing. Routing is so crucial. When my team comes to me and they said a lead or something wasn't routed to them correctly, I cringe. Because it's wasting their time. I don't want them to have to worry about data issues, and I do not want them to have to worry about routing issues. So I've said, you know what? I will take that for you, and I will go internally, and that now that I'm Salesforce admin certified, I can go to our ops team and have that discussion that what needs to be fixed to make us more efficient. Cool.
So step 3 is campaign delivery. So now we have all of this data, we have our target accounts, and I'm now going to talk about delivering those campaigns through Omnichannel. And before I get into Omnichannel, I think, especially if you're a marketing leader and if you're an SDR leader, you typically have something like this that outlines your campaign. I know this might be an eye chart, but it typically outlines your campaign and talks about all of the different segments, and then also what your offer is, and then how you're going to deliver that. So omnichannel seems like a fancy word, but it really just means that you're delivering your message and your offer on multiple channels to your prospects. So some examples of those channels are ads, the website, marketing emails, direct mail, which is making a comeback, and sales cadences, as well as nurture emails. So an example of one of the omnichannel campaigns that we ran back in May at Radius was for a Tier 1 conference. So we ran this before Oracle Modern Marketing Experience and Marketo. So we had a number of different touches here, from email to direct mail, to dinners, to happy hours, and none of this would have worked. We wouldn't have had any success if we didn't do our due diligence at the beginning with the list. So as I mentioned earlier, we used Radius to get all of the data on our existing accounts and net new accounts for Oracle users and Marketo users, and we delivered that to Matt's team and allowed them to have this target list of accounts to go after. So if we didn't do this due diligence at the beginning, we would have not had any success. And one of the tactics we used, which was a very fun tactic for this campaign.
This is my favorite.
The SDRs loved this, was direct mail. So we did a direct mail piece to our target accounts using that list. And we said, you'll get Ray-Bans if you meet with us at the conference. This was actually an empty Ray-Bans case, which some people were disappointed about. But that also gave us more, the SDRs loved it because it gave them a reason to follow up. It gave them a reason to want to meet on site. And again, this campaign was very successful because of our BDR communication. So Matt and I have a very close relationship. He often wanders over to my desk, vice versa. But also, we partnered together to create a marketing center for our SDR team. So for any conference, for any program we're running, we have a page on our marketing center about that program. We also offer spiffs. So we're working on a few fun spiffs right now for Dreamforce, but we have spiffs that include individual spiffs for getting the most meetings, et cetera, and then a team spiff.
They love the team spiffs.
Which we took the SDR team, the marketing team, and the SDR team went to the Giants game because they hit their Marketo goals. And then the other thing that makes our program successful is weekly meetings. Matt and I meet weekly as managers, and then my team and his team meet weekly as well to give updates on our programs. And then the last thing is not only do we have omni-channel programs, so we also have omni-channel communication within Radius. So we communicate to the SDR team through Slack, through chatter, through email, through in-person meetings. So it's kind of a parallel to the way we're communicating to our prospects. So to give you an idea of how we did on the Oracle and Marketo, actually this is just the Marketo campaign results. For every dollar we spent, we generated $30 in pipeline. So, and that we would have not had this success if we didn't do the due diligence in the beginning by giving the SDR team all of the resources from like lists and all of the proper contacts and the proper channels to go after these contacts. So Matt's team actually was a huge part in making this event successful. We had probably half of our pipeline, or more than half, from the one-on-one meetings at the event. And now I will pass it to Matt.
Awesome. So that was an example of how we partnered with the field. We also partner with the content and the demand team. So John Hurley runs that team. So this is a current campaign we're running right now, and we're talking a lot about omni-channel. A lot of you probably have heard about multi-channel and just doing, that's all the different possible touch points to get to prospects. We really think about omni-channel as that we're going to take that ABM approach to those target accounts, and we're going to utilize marketing and sales, and we're going to create basically a flow chart like we did here to go after those specific accounts. And we break it down to our awareness. So we launched first an email from our CEO announcing how we're doing omni-channel, how it must be integrated part of your stack, how you have limited time and budget, and your CEO and your CRO and your board is telling you, you guys need to hit X target, and basically how we're going to cut the fat. And that's how we're taking the approach when we go to market, and that's how we think data should be utilized, is that you need the right data because you can't afford not to have the right titles, contacts, systems. And what's really cool about this campaign is that we were promoting our unlimited data. So I talked about data as a platform, not cost per lead anymore. It shouldn't matter. It's that it's a subscription basis, and you can have all the data you want, and it's going to be updated every 2 weeks and pushed to your systems. That way, the SDR/BDR is like, oh, that's not the right phone number anymore. And we all know data is challenging, and I think it's going to take more and more time to get there. But we look at it as like it has to be refreshed as quickly as possible. Otherwise, we just know it's going to decay longer. So we used actually, let me go back real quick. Oh, come on.
There we go.
There we go. So we used this is a snapshot of our own platform, and we were able to pull a list of our competitors and then match that to our Salesforce and to see, okay, how many people in this list are actually not in our Salesforce? How many are actually customer or possibly our competition and us? So it gave us an idea of how many people we could put into this campaign and then disperse it amongst my team. And this is an example of just some of the content we use. But what I really, really loved about this campaign is that the whole team was excited about it. So John was meeting us on a weekly basis, and we were meeting with Katherine on the direct mail side. Is that, okay, where are we in this process? And the biggest thing is that we actually do an SDR liaison for every marketing program we do. I managed a team of 12. I think as Topo says, that's way too many than the average. So I don't have time to attend every marketing campaign meeting for every event. So we have a list where we've assigned it, and it allows people on my team then to get a little bit more experience into marketing, a little bit more into project management, because I think a lot of people on my team want to move into sales, but not everyone does. SDR, BDR, EBR, whatever you want to call it, is very much an entry into the company. And I look at it, it's not my job to push them to sales, it's my job to get them to that next level. So a couple checklist items that we've talked about this ABM approach and using data's on-demand platform is that you got to get executive buy-in, as Katherine said. These are expensive programs. I think, how much was the sunglass? 100,000?
It was about $70.
$70 per
send.
Yeah, per send. So we had to get all executives on board. If this is where we're going to basically put all our marbles, right? We're going to push this campaign for this quarter, and this is going to be the #1 focus. And then you have to enrich the accounts. So we talked about getting the right data in place to actually go after these accounts. So I love when I go into Salesforce and I can actually look at an account or I can look at lead and all the fields are populated. That just makes me so happy. And then lead to account matching. So we all know in Salesforce leads and accounts don't mix. So this is where we use lean data actually to make sure I can see, okay, if I'm going after these leads, it syncs it up to these accounts because my team works out of leads, AEs work out of contacts. And I talked about this as kind of a little nugget takeaway if you're managing a team today and you're trying to figure out how can we help bridge that partnership. It does have to start with the leadership, but the fact that Ben from my team is working with Naomi on Katherine's team on the most recent event where we actually did wine bottles that were had a, what did they have? They had a key.
A lock.
A lock. So we sent that, and then we said if you wanted the lock, you had to do a call with us. So the next way I can delegate this out is that then it allows me also to focus more on how we can actually scale the team and not the specifics of every project. Any final thoughts from your side?
No.
I think that's it.
Yeah. I think
So
that's
we got
all. Does
about
anyone have questions?
5 minutes for questions.
Everyone wants a drink. All right.
How often do you go about revisiting your customer profile, and once you kind of need this completed, or?
Yeah, about once a year. We actually just did a partnership plug for Topo, so we did it with Topo and went through our current 5 ICP personas, and we actually added a 6. So we try to do it on a yearly basis, usually right before we SCO. So we usually do it a month or so and then present that as we kick off the new year.
Any
Cool.
other questions? All right.
Thank you guys.
That's all.